In the dawn of the 1980s, the Mayan population in the country of Guatemala sought economic and political equality. In return, they were marked for death through Operation Sophia, enacted by the Guatemalan army and funded by the U.S. government. At the time, the president of Guatemala was Efraín Ríos Montt. He saw the Mayan people form guerrilla forces to overthrow him and restore equality. In a haste act to defend himself, he ordered the death of any and all guerrilla members. He argued in court that his mission as head of state was to reclaim order because Guatemala was in ruin. Communism would soon spread its influence into the guerrilla forces that opposed the Guatemalan government. The U.S. would take notice and aid the Guatemalan government into destroying the spread of communism, even if that meant massacring thousands of civilians. Communism wasn't just an idea, it was a way of living, one that the US had no interest in. Capitalism was worth fighting for, it would not be easily replaced. The Reagan Doctrine was formed to aid groups that were anti-Soviet and anti-communism. Of course, Guatemala caught Reagan's eye, and he just had to help. When in office, Reagan supplied ammunition and training to the Guatemalan army. Money was also supplied throughout Reagan's presidency. In 1986, $104 million were sent to the aid of the Guatemalan army. That's 9 times more than 1980 with a remarkably less $11 million. The money helped Guatemalan military in their counterinsurgency campaign against the guerrillas. After the massacres, those who remained would be dragged to camps in order to contain the Mayan populace. Food and other materials were supplied by the U.S. In November of 1982, a declassified U.S. document revealed that the State Department was informed of a, quote, well-funded allegation of a large-scale killing of Indian men, women, and children in a remote area by the Guatemalan army, unquote. 10 days later, Reagan met with Ríos Montt in Honduras, calling him a man of great integrity and totally dedicated to democracy. In an attempt to find out more, I set out to find someone to interview. Con su nombre, ¿cómo se llama usted?
Me llamo Osvaldo Michael Díaz Pérez.
¿Quién fue su padre y qué ocupación tuvo en los años 80?
Mi papá se llama Obispo Díaz Vicente. Mi papá tenía ocupación de trabajar en campo, era campesino. En ese tiempo estaba en un proceso para que empezara a trabajar en un hospital para el gobierno.
¿Qué es lo que él vio durante su tiempo en Guatemala?
Bueno, mi papá explica de lo que pasó en Guatemala, que durante todo esto, durante lo que pasó, entraron unas personas que entraron a acabar con la población maya, que querían que se acabara, se destruyera, y la población maya no tenía la mentalidad ni la capacidad para defenderse. En ese año llegaron los militares. Ellos de día se vestían con uniforme, con todo. La gente lo veía, gritaban a la gente, los humillaban, pero era parte del gobierno, era orden del gobierno, venía desde el gobierno. De noche iban por la gente, se miraban como civiles. Entraban en la casa a las 7, a las 8 de la noche. Fue cuando agarraron uno de mis tíos, dice mi papá, que lo iban a matar, pero lo entrevistaron a él y no lo mataron. Y a otros de los familiares de mi papá lo mataron. Dice que no lo mataban ahí mismo, se lo llevaban a otro pueblo para matarlos. Fue tan duro esa situación en Guatemala que toda la gente tenía miedo, tenía temor en vivir en su propia casa, porque no sabían, porque muchos fueron matados sin tener la culpabilidad, sin estar allí con los que supuestamente ellos querían matarlos. Mucha gente fue matado inocentemente. La gente de Guatemala no sabe, porque el gobierno tenía el poder, no lo declaró. Solo los que están estudiados y han estudiado saben que Estados Unidos ayudó. Y los que no están estudiados, como la gente maya, indígena, ellos no saben, ellos no culpan a Estados Unidos, no ven ese error, ellos no saben. Por la misma razón, ellos no ven a Estados Unidos que lo apoyó, es un país malo, no. Estados Unidos fue involucrado en eso, fue el que dio dinero, fue que tuvieron la orden contra el presidente de Guatemala y de Estados Unidos. Pero en ese momento solo ellos sabían. Muchos de ellos saben, pero ya se murieron. Entonces ahora Guatemala tiene una mentalidad diferente. No ve como un país malo o de lo que por qué fue matado. Muchos no saben porque ya no compartan, muchos solo los que van a la escuela tienen un nivel alto, ellos saben. Pero a los que no los mataron así inocentemente, sin tener esa mentalidad de pelear con el gobierno, no les recompensaron en nada. Fue así donde nomás los muchos obtuvieron dinero y muchos siguen igual, allá en Guatemala.
Right now, you might be wondering why this matters. Let's recap on what we know. We were on the wrong side of history. The US aided a campaign that almost destroyed a race of people. We taught them how to kill, interrogate, and torture civilians effectively. Unfortunately, it doesn't end there. Torture, or enhanced interrogation methods, as named by the CIA, still exist to this day. And they go beyond waterboarding, some techniques so gruesome I can't show here.
And that he has been held now for more than 12 years. And so let's talk about some of the things that happened to him. Shackled and hooded, they placed Khan feet first into the freezing water and ice. They lowered his entire body into the water and held him down face up in the water. An interrogator forced Khan's head under the water until he thought he would drown. They weren't just pouring water over their heads or over a cloth. They were holding them underwater until the point of death, with a doctor present to make sure they did not go too far. This was real torture. Techniques that are horrible. But this next quote, it's just impossible to understand how we could put anyone in this situation. Majid had an uncovered bucket for a toilet, no toilet paper, a sleeping mat, and no light. For much of 2003, he lived in total darkness. Khan was essentially held in solitary confinement from 2004 to 2006. They also threatened to harm his family, including his young sister.
The CIA often holds interrogation sessions on what are known as black sites. Recently, there's been evidence that they are closer to home than we thought.
The Guardian with a fantastic and unfortunate story about what is happening in Chicago and how we might have brought some of those CIA black sites that we were famous for during the Iraq War back home. Now, it's in Chicago, and we'll let The Guardian take it from there. The Chicago Police Department operates an off-the-books interrogation compound, rendering Americans unable to be found by family or attorneys while locked inside what lawyers say is the domestic equivalent of a CIA black site.
Evidently do, that at least those tough techniques provided us with reliable intelligence. Well, not so much.
The report's most damning conclusion is that the tactics were ineffective, despite the CIA's claim that 20 detainees subjected to them shared crucial information, some of which led to Osama bin Laden.
Our staff reviewed every one of the 20 cases, and not a single case holds up.